Coming up, it's a Football Friday. We'll talk Auburn football with Brad Law of the Auburn Sports Network. We'll talk high school football. We'll open up the mailbag and more coming up on Southern Sports Now. Come in on this Friday, September the 15th, 2023. I'm Chase Robinson, your host. Glad you're joining us today as we get you ready for a big night of high school football, big day of college football coming up tomorrow. We've got a lot to talk about as we move through the show today. We'll be talking with Brad Law, like I mentioned, a little bit later on in the show. We'll get to that mailbag coming up and more. But some news to pass along to you. Reports coming out today. Tyler Buckner will be the starting quarterback for Alabama coming up in their game tomorrow at South Florida. Now, we were wondering, was this going to happen? Would Milroe keep his starting job? It is apparent, according to 24/7 Sports reporter for Alabama football reporter John Talty. He says that it looks as though Tyler Buckner will get the start tomorrow for the Crimson Tide. So we'll see if that is accurate tomorrow as Alabama will kick off with South Florida. But it'll be interesting to see what exactly happens. Will we see Ty Simpson in the game as well? Will Jalen Milroe make an appearance? We'll find out tomorrow. But it is apparent, the reports coming out, that Tyler Buckner will be the starter tomorrow versus South Florida. Milroe got the start against Middle Tennessee State. He got the start against Texas, played the entire game last week against Texas. And a lot of Alabama fans were questioning whether he should remain in or not, but it is apparent that Tyler Buckner will have a chance tomorrow to see if he could be the starting quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So again, we'll find out in that 2:30 game tomorrow afternoon against South Florida. Let's take a look at the SEC games coming up this weekend, as we got some good ones on the slate here. LSU is at Mississippi State tomorrow. This is a sneaky good game. Looking forward to that one. They're on ESPN. Also tomorrow, Kansas State is at Missouri on the SEC Network. This should be a good one as well. Missouri has proven to be a tough place to play. You've got South Carolina at #1 Georgia tomorrow. That's a CBS game. Alabama's at South Florida. That will be on ABC. Texas A&M plays host to Louisiana Monroe on the SEC Network. You've got number 11 Tennessee at Florida. That will be an ESPN game. Samford is at Auburn on the SEC Network Plus. Vandy is at UNLV. This is a really good game right here. Georgia Tech at number 17 Ole Miss. That'll be an SEC Network game tomorrow night. You've got BYU at Arkansas and Akron at Kentucky. So those are the SEC games happening tomorrow here in SEC country. So some really good games. I'll be picking my games coming up a little bit later on in our Pick 6 in our final segment. I'll tell you who I think will win some of these games. While we're looking at games, let's look at high school games happening tonight across the area. Some really good region contests. You got Lincoln at Alexandria. Valley Cubs looking for their first win. You've got the big Anniston at Jacksonville game. And a lot of folks are excited for that one. Cleburne County plays host to Boaz. You've got Donahoe hosting Wadley. Glencoe at Westbrook Christian. White Plains hosting Handley. Oaks Bluff at Geraldine. You've got Munford hosting Talladega. Ohatchee hosts Sylvania. They're in a top 10 matchup in Class 3A. Oxford plays host to Huffman. Piedmont is at Plainview. Pleasant Valley at Holly Pond. You've got Ranburne hosting B.B. Comer. Raglan hosting Randolph County. You've got Sax playing host to Dadeville. Southside hosting Springville. You got Spring Garden hosting Victory Christian. Weaver at home. They've got Childersburg in a region game tonight. And Wellborn plays host to Beulah coming up tonight there on the hill at Walter Wellborn. So some good high school football happening tonight, and looking forward to seeing those games coming up tonight. We're going to talk some Auburn football later on. We'll dive into the mailbag. Coming up next, stick around. We got more Southern Sports Now in a moment.
Here at Ted's, we are excited to now be offering custom-made cabinets. With that in mind, we're changing our name to Ted's Floors and Beyond. The Beyond is going to encompass everything that we offer in addition to all of your flooring needs.
We've partnered with Welberg Cabinet Company, who makes the highest quality cabinets in the industry.
So when you're ready for a complete kitchen or bathroom remodel, shop Ted's.
Since 1993, WM Grocery has been a major part of our local community. WM offers the very best in fresh produce and an outstanding meat department. WM also has many local products not found anywhere else and fresh sushi every day. If you need an event catered, come see Mrs. K at any WM store. Curbside pickup is also available for your online grocery orders. Be sure to download the WM app for all the deals of the week and shopper rewards. Go check them out today at any of their locations.
We take pride in our community and appreciate your business.
For metal buildings in Alabama and the Southeast, Waldrop Manufacturing is your one-stop source. A Waldrop metal building provides the coverage and protection your investments need. They specialize in carports, RV covers, portable buildings, and storage buildings. Stop paying rent for storage. With Waldrop's price per foot, you can actually save money by buying straight from the manufacturer. Waldrop buildings are guaranteed because Waldrop manufactures buildings with U.S. steel right here in Calhoun County. Waldrop Manufacturing, serving the entire Southeast. Give them a call today.
East Alabama Now Local News has been bringing you the best local news coverage for 6 months. And now we're growing.
EAN News will be available to you 5 nights a week with new faces, new content, and coverage that is second to none.
We'll be bringing you the weather that matters to your neighborhood and to you. Rain or shine, you'll be in the know.
Sports always brings communities together, and EAN Sports will have coverage of all of our area events.
East Alabama Now, local news, new faces, same great coverage. Starting 5 days a week, May 1st. EAN Local News, your news on your schedule.
We're back here on Southern Sports Now as we roll on this Football Friday. And we got a mailbag with a couple of questions in it that we're going to dive into now, as we do every Friday. We appreciate those of you who sent some questions in. Our first question is, which coach has taken the most steps forward this year? This question comes to us from Eli and Aniston. Which coach has taken the most steps forward this year? I like this question. And here's my answer, is Steve Sarkisian. Last year we saw him take over a Texas team who, yes, took Alabama down to the wire, couldn't really finish out the season. And questionable play calls in there as well. Great offensive mind, but last year I was wondering, is he a head coach? What I saw from his Texas team Saturday night assures me that Steve Sarkisian is meant to be a head coach. He game planned that game as well as anyone could have. I've always been a Sark fan. I've thought he was a great offensive mind. We saw him go to the NFL, didn't have much success there. I think he is an exceptional college offensive coordinator. He can game plan on offense really well, but just the way we saw Texas play the other night was not any coach could have game planned Nick Saban the way Sark did. And so I'm going to say Steve Sarkisian has taken the most steps forward just because he was able to go into Bryant-Denny Stadium into a wild atmosphere and get a win. Thought that was huge for Texas, huge for Sark. Probably the best win in his career, and I think we're going to see more of that from Steve Sarkisian. Again, I think that this is just the start of a great coaching career for him. Again, he's been a head coach. College football has changed, so he's having to adjust to that. As a head coach again. He spent a lot of time as an offensive coordinator, like we said, at Alabama, a couple of stints, and so I think that he's settling into this role as a head coach, and he's settling in very nicely. And I'm excited to see what Texas can do. I think they're honestly a playoff team. I think this is just the beginning of a lot of talk about Steve Sarkisian. But to answer the question, which coach has taken the most steps forward this year, to me is definitely Steve Sarkisian. So appreciate that question here in the Southern Sports Now mailbag. Second question, it's an Alabama question. Is the quarterback issue at Alabama the real problem? Is the quarterback issue in Alabama the real problem? I would say no. That is a problem, and we'll see if it gets resolved and what Tyler Buckner can do. And apparently he's starting tomorrow, according to reports, against South Florida. But that's not the main issue. Whoever is at quarterback needs a solid offensive line to give them time to work. Jalen Milroe didn't have that last week, and I don't think he's a quarterback that can perform under that kind of pressure. Bryce Young, I think he's a guy that he can adjust, he can think quickly. He has a really good ability to scramble and still see the field that Jalen Milroe doesn't have. So in years past when the offensive line has not been great, Bryce Young's been able to make up for it. Alabama doesn't have a quarterback that can do that right now. So I think the issue first starts up front. Before we get to the quarterback, it starts at the offensive line. If they've got to do a better job of sealing the defense off. That's basics 101 right there. The first problem is the offensive line. And then the quarterback situation is definitely an issue. There's no doubt about that. There's also issues on defense as well. Texas was a big play at Alabama several times last week. And so the defense has got to come ready to play as well. You got 7 straight SEC games coming up after this week. 7 really tough games. And so I think it's going to be important for them to get it together to figure out. And tomorrow will be a good chance to see what they can figure out there in Tampa as they take on South Florida. But the quarterback issue is not the main issue. I think it starts with the offensive line, because you think back to last week too, 2 touchdowns called back off offensive line penalties, holding, and then the lineman downfield. So 2 offensive line penalties caused 2 scores for Alabama to be taken off. That's a problem, and that's got to be fixed if Alabama wants to win big games. So appreciate that question. Good question, and 2 good questions in the Southern Sports Now mailbag. We do this every Friday, so go ahead and get your questions in for next week, and we'll answer them in the mailbag next Friday. We'll jump to a break. Brad Law, the Auburn Sports Network, joins us next.
Here at Ted's, we are excited to now be offering custom-made cabinets. With that in mind, we're changing our name to Ted's Floors and Beyond. The Beyond is going to encompass everything that we offer in addition to all of your flooring needs.
We've partnered with Auburn Cabinet Company, who makes the highest quality cabinets in the industry.
So when you're ready for a complete kitchen or bathroom remodel, shop Ted's.
EAN Sports is proud to bring you the best, most informative local sports content, and we want your help to be able to do that. If you have a story idea, a tip for our sportscast, or even a highlight clip you want to see on EAN Local Sports, send us an email, eansports23@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter @EAN_sports, or you can send it to the EAN News Facebook page. EAN Sports, bringing you the local sports happening in your community.
For metal buildings in Alabama and the Southeast, Waldrop Manufacturing is your one-stop source. A Waldrop metal building provides the coverage and protection your investments need. They specialize in carports, RV covers, portable buildings, and storage buildings. Stop paying rent for storage. With Waldrop's price per foot, you can actually save money by buying straight from the manufacturer. Waldrop buildings are guaranteed because Waldrop manufactures buildings with U.S. steel right here in Calhoun County. Waldrop Manufacturing, serving the entire Southeast. Give them a call today.
If you see some interesting weather phenomenon in your backyard here in East Alabama, send that to us. We would love to hear from you. Send that to us at the email address you see on your screen or through Facebook at EAN News.
We are back here on Southern Sports Now. It's a football Friday, and we're looking forward to the high school games tonight, full slate of college games tomorrow, and we're going to talk a little college football now as we welcome on Brad Law. He is with the Auburn Sports Network. Brad, always great to talk with you. How are you today?
Chase, always a pleasure. Doing great. We're the day before homecoming on the Plains. It's a high school football Friday. Absolutely love living in the state of Alabama in the fall. It's wonderful.
Yes, it is, and it's starting to feel a little bit like football season now.
Yeah, I know it. You know what? Last weekend we were in California, and Mid-70s were the highs, and the lows, you sit outside and eat at the restaurant the night before the game. It felt magnificent, and now you come back, and it feels like we brought a little bit back with us.
Yes, it does. And I want to go back to the Cal game last week for a little bit. I know we talked heading into the game, the way the itinerary was, that Auburn was going to go out there, I think, on Thursday. Had a lot of time to sit around and wait for a 9:30 game. It was I was watching, listening to it late into Saturday night, Sunday morning. How do you think that aspect of it was and went for the Auburn Tigers, of playing that late game and just kind of adjusting their schedule to being out on the West Coast?
I think they were able to manage it well enough to win the game. I think there's no question that it had an effect. Football is such a game of routine. Players have a routine, coaches have a routine, and even road games have their own rhythm. And so when you get out of that rhythm, it can be tough sometimes. Even, you're there, well, they were there an extra day, right? It's not like they were rushed. No, but the rhythm was different. The routine was different, and that does matter. I think back to 2014 when Auburn went out to Kansas State, and they played on a Thursday night. And that was a top 5 Auburn team at the time of that game. It was, the year 2 of Gus Malzahn and the offense, year 2 of Nick Marshall as the quarterback. That offense put up some big numbers that year. But that night in Manhattan, Kansas, Kansas State was a quality opponent. They weren't a top 10 team, but they were a quality opponent on their home field. And Auburn put up 20 points, scored 20. The next 2 games, Auburn scored 45 and 41, respectively. And they scored 42 or 3 more times that year. But when the routine is vastly different, sometimes the production mirrors the fact that it's vastly different. And I thought that was a factor in the Cal game. Thankfully, we're talking about a game that Auburn was able to find a way to win anyway, but I don't think there's any question that the change in routine made at least some impact out there.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned it is a win, 14-10. Auburn able to leave the state of California with a win. As you watch the game unfold, and I know a lot of folks are talking about the offense, specifically the quarterbacks. As you watched quarterback play unfold there in Cal, your thoughts on Peyton Thorne, Robbie Ashford, and how that kind of the 2 quarterback system is working right now for Auburn?
Yeah, I thought in the Cal game specifically, the first drive, Peyton got rattled a little bit because he had the fumble that was caught and returned, and very well could have been a pick 6 for Cal. And I think he started pressing a little bit and didn't want to make any more mistakes in the game. And so, credit Cal's defense a little bit too in that they've been one of the top half of the Pac-12 defenses now since Justin Wilcox has been there as the head coach. The offense has struggled, but the defense has been right there. Credit their defense, but yeah, I think Peyton got rattled a little bit early, and they started looking, especially in the second quarter, for a spark offensively, a little juice, something to get the offense in rhythm. Again, Cal's defense kept them off the field, kept the Auburn offense off the field by stopping third down plays. But specifically, the question about the quarterbacks, I don't think you'll see the same rotation as a plan A that you saw as a plan B. I think there's a reason that there's plan A and plan B. And I think what you saw at Cal was plan B, and they may tweak plan B, but I think plan A remains. Peyton Thorne's your starting quarterback, and Robbie has special packages.
How have you seen Robbie just from all the time we saw him last year to what you've seen from him this year? Because you think about Hugh Freeze, very quarterback-centric guy. He's developed great quarterbacks. Philip Montgomery is a quarterback developer as well. How have you seen Robbie Ashford develop being under those 2 guys at Auburn?
Yeah, there are guys who understand the technical aspects of quarterback play a whole lot better than I do, but I think one of the things that impressed me most about Robbie is the way he handled not being named the starting quarterback. He's been accepting of the role that he's going to play on this team, and it's an important one. Auburn will win games because of Robbie Ashford this year, and so being healthy certainly makes a difference. And I also don't think we've seen yet, Chase, the full complement of what they may ask Robbie to do this year. He hasn't thrown the ball downfield a lot. He's targeted a couple of receivers downfield in the first 2 games, has not connected on one of those longer throws yet. But I think you're going to see more and more of his arsenal in these packages, because you can't just run him all the time. Defenses are key on that, and they will stop it. Cal, to a degree, had some success doing that. So I think you'll continue to see the progression and the development of Robbie Ashford throughout this season.
On the defensive side of the ball, what do you like about this group that the Tigers have on defense? Thought they played exceptionally well and against Cal and getting some big-time stops. What do you like about the group?
I like that there are at least a couple of guys and more that are behind the scenes that have really taken up the mantle of leadership for this bunch. In the first year of a coaching transition, you need those guys who say, look, this is the way we do it now. This is the standard. You have to play to that standard. Marcus Harris is a guy from the Montgomery area. We're going to have him on our radio pregame show tomorrow. And he stayed after practice for nearly an hour earlier this week, taking the young defensive linemen, the freshmen, and putting them through extra drills, putting his hands on them, like, get down lower, you're too high. This is the standard we have to play and meet and reach at Auburn. And to have that in the first year of a new coaching regime means guys are bought in, and guys will pass that down from one class to the next. So I love the leadership of guys like Marcus Harris, Eugene Asante. I love that Kayan Lee is a true freshman cornerback that, in the absence of Nehemiah Pritchett the first 2 games, a veteran corner, has stepped in. Cal went right after him on the first play of the game. They tried to go play action, deep ball to the end zone, quick strike, and he knocked the ball away. He's played exceptional. There are leaders on this team, vocally and on the field with their play, both young and old, and that excites me. It's not the deepest or the most talented defense that Auburn's put on the field in the last decade, but there are some building blocks that are really firm foundation pieces moving forward.
Auburn back at home tomorrow. Samford will come from the Birmingham area down to Auburn, and another kind of in-state game. You don't see this a lot with big-time colleges, but I know Auburn, tries to play some of these in-state teams. And hey, Samford put together a great year last year in the FCS. So excited to see what the Bulldogs bring to the Plains.
Very, and Chris Hatcher is a well-respected offensive coach. They use a ton of different formations. They will throw the ball around the field to try to negate some pass rush. Western Carolina got to them 6 times. They had 6 sacks in last week's game. So Coach Hatcher, being the brilliant offensive coach that he is, he's going to scheme ways to try and slow down the Auburn pass rush. And so that's going to put a little more emphasis on the linebackers in pass coverage. They're going to try to get matchups. Auburn will try to counter that. And those cornerbacks and safeties, again, will be out there and tested a great deal by the Samford team. So, Auburn's got the better 11 one-on-one matchups on the field almost all of the time. I don't think this is a game we're talking about Auburn winning or losing, but it is a game you're talking about a tune-up and a primer before conference play starts next week.
Yeah, and when you think about it, it's a great primer before you get into SEC play. And when you think about these in-state games, you've seen Auburn play Samford, Jacksonville State. I mean, how important do you think it is for Auburn to be able to get these teams in the state of Alabama playing there at Jordan-Hare Stadium?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, you got guys who play for Samford and Alabama State and Jack State and all of the other schools. I mean, all those that you mentioned. And I think Auburn's got a game against Alabama A&M in there somewhere in the last 8-9 years. These guys grow up mostly in the state of Alabama, and a lot of them mostly dream of playing either for Auburn or Alabama. And obviously, most of them don't get the chance to do that, but they get a chance to play on the field. That's why I love having the Super 7 championships in either Tuscaloosa or Auburn, because you get a chance to play in these stadiums that you grow up dreaming of playing in. And for a lot of these guys too, they're playing against maybe some old high school teammates or old high school rivals anyway. That's exciting. It's special memories. And if you're going to play these games, and everybody's going to play these games, keep the money in the state and give a program that is not, I say this with tremendous respect for Samford. Samford's never going to challenge Auburn's space within the college football hierarchy.
Right.
It's just not going to happen. So help them build their program with a guarantee game versus going and playing somebody from Louisiana or Missouri or somewhere else.
Yeah, excellent point there. We're talking Auburn football. Brad Law with the Auburn Sports Network. They'll be broadcasting, of course, the game with Samford tomorrow. What's the details? How can folks listen and everything tomorrow to the Auburn-Samford game?
Well, look, if they're watching this on YouTube anyway, I'll tell you, the Auburn Tigers YouTube page, we will have video not only of the Tiger Tailgate Show, which will start at 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon, but the actual game broadcast itself. You can watch Andy Burcham and Jason Campbell. And Gene Dulaney, who's our spotter and statistician, he's the real star of the live video stream because you get to see what he's doing in between those guys. And that'll start, I think kickoff is 6:02 for the game. But we have a great time on the radio, on YouTube, and we appreciate every single person who tunes in and listens or watches.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it tomorrow. Brad, really appreciate you hopping on with us, talking some Auburn Tigers. We'll do it again soon, but thanks for coming on with us.
Always a pleasure, Chase. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Brad Law with the Auburn Sports Network here on Southern Sports Now. We'll jump to a break. More to come in a moment.
Here at Ted's, we are excited to now be offering custom-made cabinets. With that in mind, we're changing our name to Ted's Floors and Beyond. The Beyond is going to encompass everything that we offer in addition to all of your flooring needs.
We've partnered with Welberg Cabinet Company, who makes the highest quality cabinets in the industry.
So when you're ready for a complete kitchen or bathroom remodel, shop Ted's.
Since 1993, WM Grocery has been a major part of our local community. WM offers the very best in fresh produce and an outstanding meat department. WM also has many local products not found anywhere else and fresh sushi every day. If you need an event catered, come see Mrs. K at any WM store. Curbside pickup is also available for your online grocery orders. Be sure to download the WM app for all the deals of the week and shopper rewards. Go check them out today at any of their locations.
We take pride in our community and appreciate your business.
Hi, I'm Dr. Brodney Sneed from both CARES and Direct Primary Care. Direct Primary Care is an exciting new model of medical care growing on both the East and West Coast. It's been recommended by Forbes and the American Academy of Family Physicians and others for individuals or small businesses with or without health insurance. The pure simplicity of a membership model streamlines the burden of medical care. It eliminates 60% of the overhead. That streamlining allows providers time to focus on patients with free, no copay, no deductible, unhurried office visits or telehealth visits with minimal waiting room time. It produces same or next day appointments and access by text or telephone during and after hours. It saves you from leaving work, wasting time and getting exposed in a waiting room, and the convenience and cost with barriers removed helps one avoid letting problems like a sore throat turn into an expensive ER or hospital visit for pneumonia. If you're interested, search the web for CARES Direct Primary Care.
We are back here on Southern Sports Now as we roll into our final segment here on this Friday. It's time for our Pick Six, as I'll pick some games here as we get ready for a new weekend of college football. So here we go. First game up, I've got LSU at Mississippi State. This is an exciting one here, and I think it's going to be a better game than a lot of people think it will be. And, you know, I thought long and hard about this one, and I like the way Mississippi State's playing. I think LSU is a good team, no doubt. But I'm going to pick the home team. I'm going with the Mississippi State Bulldogs in this one. They're putting up really good yardage right now. And I'm going to say LSU is not the team we thought they were. I've got Mississippi State beating the LSU Tigers tomorrow night there in Starkville, Mississippi. South Carolina at Georgia, SEC matchup here in the SEC East. I really think South Carolina can hang in there for a half. I think they can keep it close. I think Spencer Rattler can pull some tricks out of the hat, and I think South Carolina's going to keep it close in the first half. I think Georgia does pull away, get themselves a little bit of a comfortable lead, and I think Georgia wins the game. But I do think South Carolina can compete in this game for a little while. I just don't think they have it in to sustain a full game with Georgia. I've got the Bulldogs winning this one. Tennessee travels down to Florida to take on the Gators down in Gainesville. Florida's had a good run in this game at their home field out at the Swamp. I don't think they've got it in them this year. I think Florida will get much better every week, but I think at this point in the season, I got the Tennessee Vols beating Florida there in Gainesville. Georgia Tech at Ole Miss, really interesting game here that I'm really excited about. This is a sneaky good game. I think Georgia Tech's going to compete, they're going to fight, and they're going to take this one all the way to the end. I do think Ole Miss gets the win. They beat a really good Tulane team and struggle with them at times, but Ole Miss got the win. And I think Ole Miss beats the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets tomorrow there in Oxford. Kansas State at Missouri. You got a ranked team coming into Missouri in Kansas State. I'm going to go with the Missouri Tigers in this one. They're at home. That's proven to be a tough place to play. We saw Georgia go out there and struggle last year. I think Missouri moves to 3-0. They get the win at home tomorrow against Kansas State. In the last game up, Colorado State at Colorado. The College Game Day is going to be there. A lot of eyes on that game. Coaches going back and forth this week, but it is at Colorado, and I think Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes get the win tomorrow over Colorado State. So I got Deion and Colorado winning that one there tomorrow. So that's our pick six for this week as I pick some games each and every week in the college football season. That'll do it for this Friday edition of the show. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy all this football. We'll talk to you again on Monday here on Southern Sports Now.